Hello, my favorite humans. Today, for the first time ever, I'm going to try making bread, and I'm bringing you along on the journey with me. So if it goes really great, awesome, and if not, I'm blaming you. Just kidding. So we're gonna try it out. We're using yeast and everything. So here we go. Here's Cooking with Campbell. We are making focaccia, which is an Italian bread, and it seems easy. Famous last words. All right, so today we are using the Food Network recipe for focaccia, which was created by Anne Burrell. You can find it in the links below. And today we are going to need 1 3/4 cup of warm water, warm, not hot. You need 1 package of active dry yeast, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 5 cups of all-purpose flour with a little left over for kneading. And then you need 1 tablespoon of salt, and 1 cup extra virgin olive oil, which they say that you want to split in half. So keep half in your recipe and half out for later. All right, the first step in our bread making process is we want to activate the yeast. So how we do that is we take a bowl and you pour the yeast in there. Doesn't look weird. I never really thought that's what yeast looked like. It kind of looks like bugs, if you ask me, but it's not. It's yeast. And then you need to use warm water. That's 1 3/4 cup warm water. And then you need that tablespoon of sugar. The tablespoon of sugar is what actually activates the yeast and feeds it, because the yeast, in order to grow, has to be fed, just like we do. So you feed that, just like that. And then we're going to mix it, because it says to combine. And then it says to put it in a warm, not hot or cold, but a warm place until the yeast is bubbling and aromatic for at least 15 minutes. Intriguing. That does not look appetizing at all, but I think it's going to turn into beautiful bread. So I'm going to go find a warm place to put it in. All right, as you can see, I have set our bowl in a cozy reading nook in some sun. That's the warmest place I could think of. And it looks like it's bubbling pretty well. Very interesting. Baking really is a science, especially bread. Let's see if we can get any closer. You can already smell the yeast coming up. It smells nice and homey. These bubbles are so interesting. Okay, as you can see on our Harry Potter timer there, we still have 10 minutes to go on our yeast, but look already how much it is growing. Still bubbling, and it's smelling more and more like the yeast that we know what smells like fresh French bread, or smells like a bake shop. So it's pretty exciting. All right, 9 minutes and 31 seconds to go. All right, here we go. As you can see, we have a lot less bubbles. Everything seems to be kind of combined, and you can't really tell, but it almost looks like it's raised out of the bowl, which is really fascinating. So this is our activated yeast. All right, our Harry Potter timer has gone off, which means that it is time to mix it with the other ingredients. All right, next in our recipe, it says to take our mixer. So I'm going to use my KitchenAid that I inherited from my grandmother. And it says to use it with a dough hook. So that's this thing. And so this is the first time I've ever used this on my mixer. So we have that, and it says to combine the flour, 1 tablespoon of the kosher salt, 1/2 cup of the olive oil, and the yeast mixture on a low speed. So let's see here. We're gonna add our flour first so that everything else will wet it down, and that way we won't have the flour cloud once we start mixing it. All right, now we're going to do a 1/2 cup of olive oil. All right, so 1, and then we're also gonna add our 1 tablespoon of salt. It says kosher salt. I'm going to use regular table salt in the actual bake. And then I'm going to use sea salt to sprinkle the bread once we're actually done. All right, so we have sea salt. If you have kosher salt, use that. I do not have kosher salt, so we're gonna go with table salt. We'll see what happens. Then, did we forget anything? Let's see, flour, salt, olive oil, and then the yeast mixture. So that's this. So it's gonna go in there too. Okay. And also scrape that with our spatula. Get everything in there. Okay. And then it says, once the dough has come together, oh wait, and mix on low speed. I'm gonna just stir it a smidge. Wow, this is really fascinating. Again, I've never made bread before, and I've definitely never done it in a mixer. I always thought you like had to go over and over again on a cutting board with your hands to do bread, but I guess not. Use a mixer. Okay. There we go. All right, and it says to mix on low speed for 5 or 6 minutes. So we're gonna go with this. My mixer, as you're about to see, doesn't really have a low speed, but we'll see. Also helps if you plug it in. Hold on. Okay, now it's plugged in. Okay. So we're gonna do that for 5 or 6 minutes. It says then that you transfer the dough, so it says until it's smooth and soft. No, this doesn't look very smooth, but it's soft and it looks combined. I think it's okay. All right, and it says transfer the dough to a clean, lightly floured surface, then knead by hand 1 or 2 times. And give it another sprinkle of flour. Intriguing. All right, we're gonna transfer it over there. Here we go. All right, now the thing about kneading, I think, again, I haven't really done this before, but is you need a little bit of flour on the place that you're going to be kneading it so that it doesn't stick. At least my experience making pie crust is like that. Bread is probably different, but there we go. So I have just thoroughly washed my hands, and now we are going to plop that out and we're going to knead it. Okay, the thing I know about kneading is that you mostly use this part of your hand. That is all I know about kneading. So I think you take it and you kind of push it in on itself. Now, this said to do it only 1 or 2 times, but you and I both know from all of the Great British Bake Off that we make and watch that seems very low. I don't understand how it could only be 1 or 2 times. We also know that on Great British Bake Off, you're supposed to take a little piece of it and see if there's a window that you can see the gluten through. But maybe that's not the case with Focaccia. But look, you can actually see it if we have that. So maybe the gluten's already there. It's already been mixed because we mixed it in the mixer. I don't know. This is why we were baking instead of just watching Great British Bake Off, because one of these days I had to learn how to actually do it, and then I could yell at the TV more judgmentally with actually knowing what I'm talking about. Just kidding. I love the Great British Bake Off. All right, I have no idea what I'm doing. I think I'm just smushing it. So we're gonna call it done. I guess that's the next stage is done. All right, the instructions say next to coat a mixing bowl in olive oil. There we go. Place the dough into the bowl and to cover with plastic wrap. Oop, and then set it back in a warm place to rise for at least an hour until it doubles in size. All right. So I guess this is going back in my reading nook in the sun for about an hour, and we'll see if it doubles in size. I have placed our dough next to the fireplace because now the sun is setting and I wasn't sure if it was gonna be warm enough. And so we'll see, maybe this is too hot, but we're gonna wait for this to rise. We have another 52 minutes on our timer. All right, our timer is going off. As you can see, it has definitely doubled in size. And so now we're going to see what happens next. All right, so our recipe said that we take a half a cup of olive oil, and they said that they know that it looks like a lot of oil, but that's what makes focaccia so delicious and kind of buttery. So we take a half cup. That does look like a lot of oil. Good thing I'm going to the store tomorrow. Then we take our dough that has really grown. Very exciting. We pull it out and we put it in here. And it said to squish it, to squish it into all the edges and make sure that it fits. Oh, it looks really tasty. Okay, and then it said to start working with your fingers and kind of split it all the way through, but then you also need to flip it over to make sure that the bread is 100% coated in olive oil. Make sure you're not getting it on any of your clothing. Okay, and then you break through all the way, and they said to split it like this, and that's what gives focaccia its signature texture, is actually poking your fingers through it, which I had no idea about that. So there we go. And then this is the crazy part that I cannot believe, but I guess it is true. We now have to let it rise again. This recipe takes 2 rises. So there we go. I think that's right. It's all spread out in the pan. It's very, very oily. Hopefully that's right. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it to rise again. All right, there we go. I put it in a warm place. I was just making dinner, so I have food on the stove, so it should be nice and warm there. And it said to bake it for an hour, and it said while it was, to rise it for an hour, rise it for an hour. And while it was rising and it needed to get another double in size, that we should preheat it to 425. So I have preheated my oven to 425. Meanwhile, I'm going to eat my vegan spicy Thai peanut soup that I have made. Delicious. I'll have to teach you how to make that another time. All right, we have left it for an hour. It definitely looks bigger. And now we're going to drizzle it with some more olive oil, sprinkle it with salt, and put it in the oven at 425 for 20 minutes. So we're gonna drizzle it with a hair more olive oil. That feels like a lot more olive oil, but that's what this said to do. There we go. Okay, and then we have the salt. Remember, this time we're using the coarse sea salt. And it should be, they say, a very generous amount of salt. That is pretty darn generous. There we go. Then we're going to pop it in the oven. I can't do that with one hand because there's too much oil. So we're gonna pop it in the oven at 425. Right, in the oven at 425 for 20 minutes. All right, our timer went off. I have no idea what this is supposed to look like. It looks pretty brown. Let's see what happens when we take it out. All right, again, I have no idea what this is supposed to look like, but it's pretty brown and it makes a good hollow sound, which is what they do on Great British Bake Off. The recipe said to absolutely make sure that it has completely cooled, otherwise it will release all the moisture and get dried out bread. So before we slice it, we have to let it completely cool. So I'm probably gonna leave it for another, I guess, 20 minutes, let it cool, and check it then, and then we'll slice it and see what do we got. We are slicing. Oh, it's got a nice buttery sound. This could be helpful. Maybe it is delicious. our Paul Hollywood moment. It looks baked.
Nice.
It looks well proved. I think we did it, people. All right, favorite humans, here we go. Our taste of our focaccia. That's really good. It's light, it's flaky, it's buttery. We did it! All right, I hope you enjoyed this version of Cooking with Campbell where you literally learned how to cook focaccia with me because I didn't know how to do that. But we did it, and I'm very proud of us. So, happy cooking, stay safe, stay healthy. I love you. See you next time.